Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. Let those notifications go out. Yes, here we are. Thursday afternoon, my time. So I want to say good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you, wherever you are. And as those notifs go out, we do what we do. Sound check. Do our own little engineering thing here. Sound check. There we go. All right, and I want to go ahead and let y'all know we're going to dive into this because it's very important. When God says switch it up, we got to switch it up. Now, mind you, I know that we go between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Thursdays and Fridays, and then even on Wednesdays if we're over here doing Let's Just Chat. So for those who may not know that, on Wednesdays, that's the toss-up day. All right, so if we're not live with Let's Just Chat over here on YouTube, that means we're live on Instagram if we're going live that day. So God willing, right? And so we have a window because Chosen One learned that we can't be too predictable. If we're too predictable, then it's easier for the enemy to catch us off guard. You see, God is strategic. All right, let's get these formalities out of the way, shall we? I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency for healthier living. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. The link to the Academy is listed below. Some of you may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. You've got courses like How the Trauma Bonders Form, How to Deal with Toxic Coworkers, and that course is for how to deal with these narcissists in any environment. And then you also have How to Detox from Trauma Nutrition course. Very important, especially when we find out that our autonomic nervous system has been traumatized by radio frequency manipulation. It's like, all right then. But God says switch it up. And I'm going to share with you all because those of you who may still be at a 9-to-5er, be ready for this. When God, if that's not your calling, listen, I know some of y'all are working the job like that is part of your calling. Okay, so this sentiment applies as well, because even if you are doing other things within your purpose outside of that particular area, well, right, God's going to switch it up because he says that we got to switch it up and we got to rotate. Many of us have worked jobs where a place was open 24 hours. And I did not get to start working our first shift until I became the assistant manager. And that, again, was typically only on the weekends because I was the acting manager on Saturdays and Sundays while the GM was off for the weekend. You see? So that was the only time. The rest of the time, I usually was working second shift. And then also when I was younger, third shift, right? Many of us can relate to this, the first, second, and third shift thingy, right? Then when I drove truck, yeah, I mainly did kind of like a second shift into the third shift. Like I would take over driving around 2 p.m. And then, of course, I stopped and take breaks because required by law, okay, that we were to stop and take breaks. We had to show breaks in our logbook. Mandatory. So a lot of times I would go till sometimes 1 a.m., anywhere between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. I would shut it. That's my shift done. Okay? And then the angry narc would take over and do the third shift into the first shift. So anyhow, yeah, after complaining, I ain't getting no sleep, I heard you snoring. Yeah, every time we hear that, y'all, when the narcissists claim they didn't get no sleep, but we're sitting there and we hear them snoring. Oh, you sleeping. All right, God says switch it up. All right, God says you got to switch it up because God works all three shifts simultaneously. Think about that for a moment. So I've been trying. God said, child, you've been trying too hard. He said, you know I got this. Yeah. Had me doing the second shift stuff there for a little while. And I was, yeah, but God said, yeah, but you ain't getting comfortable like that. He said, got me out of bed at 7:30 this morning. He was like, all right, switch it up. Back to first shift. I'm like, all right then. Because I'm like, I'm trying to get out of that 9 to 5 clock that we were in from the last job and then the last environment. But God said, no. He said, you're going to work that shift every once in a while. I may never work third shift again. But he said, you're going to work whatever shift I tell you to work. And that includes a mid shift, which would be something like 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, of course, mind you, this all works around when y'all book session, okay? It really all depends. And so, yeah, because most of our consulting and coaching sessions don't start till, we've got some earlier than this, but about 11 a.m. Eastern time, okay? And there's a reason for that. Right. Especially for those who may be 12 to 14 hours ahead or behind. I leave my window, the morning window open so that we can negotiate. So, for example, those of you who have booked who are in Australia and you're 14 hours ahead, so you booked a slot and then we communicate via email, okay? And so I know that, okay, even though you have it for that day, let's say at 6:45 p.m., well, that's right. You keep the slot, but we change the time that works best. And oftentimes, that was like, if it was 8 a.m. my time, it would be 10 p.m. your time, if you're 14 hours. And that often worked out, okay? And then even 7 a.m. my time, 9 p.m. your time. We work it that way. And it works out just fine. So that, for anybody who is wondering, you want to book a session, but your time zone, that's how we do it. You keep the slot, and then we negotiate time, usually the following day, early morning for me, it would be evening for you, if that's the case. But with all of you who want to book a session, now if we've got one available at 3 and you are only 4 or 5 hours ahead, you're still going to get your session on the same day. You see, it's just automatically that 3 p.m. my time, it's going to be 7 or 8 p.m. your time. And then for those of you on the Pacific Coast, where you're 3 hours behind, you'll know. Same thing. It'll still be 3 p.m. my time, but it'll be 12 p.m. your time. So that's why I'm saying negotiate with me. I know the time zone stuff. I had to get it down when I was a truck driver. Oh, yeah, I had to stay on top of that. So I know how to help y'all with that. So, yeah, it's not complicated. And I'll help you. So there's that. Okay? Problem solved. Time zone's not an issue. We will work around it. We always do. Because God works every shift simultaneously. So we want to remember that. So we got to switch it up. Because I kept saying, I was like, I want to get out of this 9 to 5 routine. And he said, yeah, well, we did that for a little while. He said, but I need you back in it for a season. Okay. Of course, it had to do with the radio frequency blasting. Because yesterday, for those of you who were with us in the live yesterday, and that wind was, woo! Guess what I woke up and found inside today? No, not those. There's certain fabrics that came with me from the previous environment that was a cigarette smoking environment, right? Yeah. So that guitar case, I mean, I cleaned it and everything, and I thought, okay, good, we good. Couple pairs of my shoes, I did the same thing. I thought I got all the residue off. Oh, it's that type of fabric. It soaks in the salt that's in the air. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I picked up that guitar case and that greenish metal color. Yeah, ha, 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 ha. And I got salt. Like, whoa, dude. And I'm like, okay then. So it's like, we don't need that case right now because we're not traveling with that guitar. So God said, you get a new one later. And as far as the shoes go, he said, yeah, you get a new one later. Because they were in the smoke-filled environment. And so, yeah, the fabrics became, I guess you could say, electrified. And so I was like, okay, hold up a second. And God said, yeah. I looked out the window. I saw condensation on the window. And I thought to myself, it's been warm over the last week. What's going on? So I opened up the door. Nice and bright and sunshine. Oh, they're going to let you have your vitamin D today. Oh, yeah. But the salt that's in the air, I was like, and God said, yeah. He said, it's been like that our whole life. We've been breathing in that salt. I don't know, Chris, I don't know, or anyone else. I don't know if you are starting to be able to notice that. But man, as we're detoxing, oh yeah. I was like, I knew because all I had taken in so far this morning when I did that was 50 milligrams of sodium. That was it. So I knew, I was like, that ain't me. Open up that door, and all of a sudden and that when I touched that thing, the salt, I'm like, okay, garbage bag, and I got rid of that stuff because I had already gave those shoes a good soak with Dawn dish detergent and everything, and so for a while I thought I saved them. Nope. And so it's fine. We don't have unhealthy attachments to people and things. So when I notice stuff like that, it's got to go. It's that certain type of fabric. I don't know what it was. I know one pair of the shoes, the boots were suede. So that's one fabric that will act like static for the magnet molecule. And then another pair of shoes was closer to nylon. So, yeah. And then the third pair, I want to say was, well, kind of suede. It was kind of suede material on the sandal. Yeah. And I said, okay, that's got to go. I'm like, nah. And God, remember something. God had new for his chosen one anyway when the time comes. Yeah, God has new for his chosen one. Let's put that in the comments below. All right, somebody. God has new for chosen one because he sure does. Right. Well, there you go. You'll find it. You'll find it. Yeah, 9 to 5 is not really my favorite either, but we got to be flexible because God is flexible. God says, I know you didn't like the 9 to 5 window when you were at the toxic workplace. He said, but you can do it in yours. If you ain't got no sessions booked, then you can do that and get the majority of stuff done. Because I do like getting out there and running my errand early and getting back in here long before lunchtime. That I found out when I got here. I do like that. It doesn't always work that way, but we do what we can. So we do have our preferences, and God knows that. But God's like, yeah, because I was going to go out yesterday. But he said, that wind? He said, no. He said, you can wait. And you're right. I was like, are you sure? I really want to go get that. God says, sit tight. Because all of that wind was just circulating all that salt. And yeah. And remember, if that fabric was in a smoking environment, the salt and then dust containing salt, it's just going to right to those items. Because the smooth boots that I have didn't have that. Had a little bit of regular dust. I wiped them down. But we did. We had to get that stuff out of here. Yeah, there's always been more salt, right, taken in as food, but could never, right. Okay, if the body's not generating salt, our body don't generate those electrolytes naturally. Not to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but I remember reading somewhere that because sodium is a necessary electrolyte that the body does not, and just like your B vitamin, the body doesn't naturally produce those. Get those from food, and then also supplements if you're on a specific diet. Yep, God has new. Yep, we're always breathing in salts in the air. So, well, yeah, that's true. Spirits of the air can appear as strong winds as well on the spiritual side. That's true. Yep. And so, yeah, that 9 to 5, it does. I mean, we got bills to pay, right? And so, no, I never went to Canada as a truck driver. In fact, if they tried to give us a load that went to Canada, I turned it down, kind of in an indirect way. I forgot my birth certificate. So, no. And as far as how the farthest that we traveled as truck drivers, all the way from Florida to Washington. All the way from Washington to New York. All the way from North Carolina to California. You get, okay. We will cross country. Because we were team drivers. So, all right. I wanted to get, but yeah, all of that. All of it. It's just, we do what we got to do. Because when we got bills to pay, God knows that. He's always going to provide. And by the way, for anyone who would love to pledge a service grant, that link is below. This PayPal link is below. It's the easiest, quickest way to do so. Or you can go to the CHA Accepts Service Grant page on the website. And you can do it through the website as well. Okay, there's a couple different ways. Because on the website, believe it or not, y'all, if you scroll down the home page, we take multiple forms of payment. Okay? And so when you make it to the checkout page, though, I know it can be a little tricky because they have only got like Shop Pay and then Amazon and PayPal, I think, right there. But there's a little link right underneath, more option. You can click on that. Okay? Click on that for other options if you don't want to use those 3 they've got up there. Okay? So, yeah, I had to point that out because I had one of our fellow warriors had a little bit of trouble locating the other option because he didn't have the Amazon and PayPal. And I said, it's tiny. You know, I know it's tiny, but it's underneath there. It says more payment options, something like that. And you click on that. We take Venmo, credit, just about every major credit card, debit card, that kind of thing. Okay, so we do, and so don't hesitate to reach out if you've got any questions about that. Okay, but you can, and I thank all of you who have pledged service grant and all of you who will. And just like all of you who have left us a Google review, that link is also listed below. So thank you to those who have left us a review and to all of you who will. To let others know how Consulting for Heightened Awareness is helping you overcome trauma and start to live your best life. And also, yes, how this movement combating radio frequency healthier living is benefiting you as well. Because in order to live our best life, we must be living a healthier life. And that's the best way to combat all of this, the excess salt and the radio frequency poisoning. So that's the best way, is to make sure we're eating healthier, staying active, making sure that we can sweat, get that excess out. Got to do it. Yep, we sure did. Yeah, oh, you can say that again. We racked up them miles. Yeah, quite a bit. And, you know, it was an experience. But I'll tell you, God revealed to me what that season was for, was to prepare me for traveling business trips. Because I don't mind the traveling part at all. And I don't mind the driving part. It was just that during that season, there were so many times that I wanted to stop off and just enjoy the view, God's creation, right? And we're on the clock. So a lot of times we got those time-sensitive loads. Oh, yeah. We sure did. Because that's what they would give to the teams, because we could keep the truck rolling all through the night, pretty much, with the exception of a couple hours here and there of shutdown. So that, yeah. And so God works all shifts simultaneously. Think about that. Because God is a spirit. He don't need to sleep. God don't need to sleep. Our spirit is still awake when our physical is asleep. Yeah. Because it's the spirit is doing the healing on the inside. And then when we get up and take a self-assessment, you know, do that daily self-check-in, see where we are. Yeah. And so we're like, okay, now on the external and the physical, where do we need to do a little more self-care? And so once we know that, okay, we get started for the day. So when God had me sleeping in like till around like 10 a.m., I was like, man, that I really don't like. I still like to get up a little earlier than that. And so he's like, I know, but we got to get you ready for the next season of reparation. So in doing that, because of what went down over the last 24 hours with another blast and then adding more salt in the air, I was like, okay, I see. So he said, yeah, go ahead, take yourself around. I was out the door by 9:30 to go to the store. He said, get your stuff, get on back. Hunker down. When God says hunker down, that means hunker down, keep detoxing, because he had me clean up some clutter that I had going on over here yesterday. He had me go through some things and tidy some things up. He said, because he's like, yeah, he says, what you got wrote down there? He said, we get ready to take off. I was like, okay. He said, we get ready to take off. So he wanted me to go get the stuff that I got. Because I was like, okay, doing grazing with intermittent fasting. And so now I have a medium-sized cookie sheet that has different fruits on it. And then I have a regular dinner plate, but it's got several different kinds of meats for protein. And this time around, we're doing little gourmet cherry tomatoes, medium-sized sliced up bella mushrooms, and some raw broccoli. So we have our meats and our veggies to graze on, and then the big tray of fruit. Because remember, protein and fruit helps to act. Remember, salt, love that fat, love the fatty tissue in our body. That's where it loves to hang out, and areas of past injury. So in order for us to fully detox, we want to make sure we're putting that stuff. And I remember that where I learned that from, as far as protein and fruit, was during my modeling season, because it was some fruits, juices, that help to break down the excess fats in the body. We're going to have some, obviously, okay, for our energy production, but the excess is what we want to get rid of. Y'all know what I'm talking about, because that is where they want to hang out, and that is where you will feel the most numbness. Because, I mean, you're like over here, you go, okay, yeah, I know that I'm scratching myself, but I don't really feel the nails, you know? Yeah, well, that's changed, but I'm just giving you an idea. It's like, you know you're doing it, but you don't feel the nail. That lets you know that your ANS in that area, do a little bit of sleep, so be mindful of that. And so, as it starts to wake up, oh, you go itch. Yep. Oh gosh, y'all, that was the thing this morning. Yeah, on the detox journey with you, that it was my my hand, this area, and boy, my knees scratching like crazy. So it's a good thing, because that lets you know that, okay, you're healing. I mean, you know you are. It's just, yeah. So I know that itching is a side effect of radio frequency poisoning, duh. But it's also, a sign of healing. And so you know where you're at. And yeah. I'm not sure what that would be, a tachograph in the truck, but the palms of your hands get itchy, because of the excess salt. Yep. Right there with you. The bottoms of your feet, where the body's trying to get rid of that excess heat, and then the palms of our hands, because of the salt. That's why it's in there. For those of you who are on the detox journey with us, I want you to do something real quick. Take your hand and don't keep them like that forever. Remember, salt is a stiffener. Okay, but take a look at your knuckles. Note the color of your knuckles. That's fatty tissue. And so, yeah, if you're noticing your knuckle, okay, the skin around your knuckles, if you're noticing them to be a little bit on the pale side, but kind of kind of like a very light yellowish green to it. So you don't want to keep your fingers like that for a long time. No, you want to stay moving. Okay, keep them loose. Eventually, drink that water, that circulation going. Yep, but that lets you know where the salt is hanging out. And then also some in the knuckle area. Yeah, I was on one walk, and God had me taking a look at all that. I was like, oh, look at there. That's interesting. But that just lets you know where. Right. And then I'm noticing that, like, yeah, because as the circulation gets better, yeah, they're not, right, they're not as yellowish green as they once were when I first noticed them. So you'll see the progress. Yeah, the more that it improved. And so just make note of that. Because through the detoxing, you are going to experience that. And then sometimes wrinkles. Right? And so it's just, it goes like that. Until your body reaches its normal level. And along with, well, it may look white. Right? It may look white, but yeah, because that's where excess salt will go, right? Into the little fatty tissue area. And a lot of people would not even think about their knuckles, the skin around their knuckle being fatty tissue, but it is. Up under there, very thin, but it's that. It is. So, yeah, be mindful of that. I know, you're like, I hadn't thought of that. When God revealed the area to us where the toxins are hanging out, that's where we know either the ointment and or ice pack. Because remember, ice packing shrinks those metal molecules so that they will break away from the house that it being housed in, okay? And that becomes runny. So you're able to get that out. But it will take a little while. It is a process. I'm telling you. You don't want to rush it either. Okay? Never forget that. God said, don't rush. God's working all 3 shifts simultaneously. When he sees that we're making the effort here, right? He sees that we are like, okay, we are obeying God. We are listening to his instructions. So when I went to the store, I had some things on my list. Maybe only a few items. But God said, yeah, you know what though? He said, I want you to do 2 trays. And I said, okay. See, God's switching it up. He says, I know you made that list. He said, but I got another idea for you. He said, because I need you to up the ante in the fruit. Okay. So he had me get a couple more fruits that were not on the list. See, God will do that. So like grapes, pineapple, watermelon, strawberry. Because I already got 1 tub of strawberries for my smoothies at one store. But I'm in another one. He's like, yeah. He said, but get another one because you can eat those too. It doesn't always have to be just for the smoothie. You have 1 container for your smoothies and the bananas. And then 1 on the tray for snacking. Got it. Okay. So it really, yeah, it's fabulous how God has us do that. But then it's like completely filled up the fridge. But he said, yeah, but remember what? You've got a neutral superfood to make. And so once we get that stuff out of the way and to cook it and to put it in, it's going to free up room for my grapefruits and other stuff. So it's like, okay. Yeah. Because I looked at my blood type diet list of approved items. That's right, approved items. And so we want to remember that God's going to tell us, okay, yeah, I got you working the mid shift this season. Then I got you working a little more second shift this season. But now, this season, I'm going to have you back on that first shift for a little while. We got to be flexible like that because God is flexible. And the other big reason why he does that, remember, God keeps his chosen one less predictable. Remember, the devil loves that predictability. Yeah, he loved that predictability. Because it'll be easier for him to either catch us off guard, he'll try to. But see, chosen one, listen, we have to learn to expect the unexpected. Okay? Expect the unexpected. So, like when I got some more contacts delivered, the way that they put my apartment number on the packaging was not that easy to read, but kudos to the delivery driver. Yeah. So I heard a knock on my door. I was just in here doing some stuff. So I didn't jump or anything, but I went to the peephole. And remember what I said, if I hear a knock at the door and I don't see someone standing there in the peephole, I'm not opening the door. But see, legit, honest people are not going to hide from the peephole. So I looked and I saw it was a delivery driver holding my box of contacts. So of course I'm going to open the door. Okay. I got my delivery. And he did a wonderful job getting the right apartment. Because your number was right on like the barcode. Very, very, yeah. But hey, we figure it out. And so we don't let anything catch us off guard. We have to relearn that now, though. Yeah, the ANS is still, because when, for example, I took the garbage out today. There was a little, very inexpensive laughter button that I got, and I don't like it. It sounds way too fake, and so I don't want to use it. And so I was like, okay. And I forgot it was in the bottom of the trash can. I took it out. I didn't jump or anything like that, but I kind of went, I was like, who's that laughing? Oh, I said, that's that. I said, wait a minute. That's that superficial, almost, yeah, that button felt like the laughter was forced. That's why I didn't like it. I was like, I'm not even gonna, it's just one of whatever. I'm not trauma bonded to it. That's the thing. So we wanted to get rid of that, but it didn't catch me off guard per se, but it surprised me. Absolutely. And it was funny. I laughed at myself just like yesterday when I had to go rescue my basil plant. And the pocket kept rolling. Like, oh, hey then. But God will switch things up like that, y'all. He said, rotate. And so let me share with you all how he put that on my spirit. I was putting away some Tupperware containers. I have, stacked on top of each other. And instead of taking the couple that are finally dry and putting them on the bottom, I heard God say, rotate. I went, okay. God said, rotate. He said, go write that down. He said, I work the swing shift. I said, oh, that's right, Heavenly Father. Yes, you do. He said, I work the swing shift. But he works all three shifts simultaneously, though. But just that notion. Because he said, I got you up earlier. Because got more stuff that he needs us to do for y'all. Like we got those Real Talk with God's Wisdom videos, number 6 and 7, finally available on the website. Yeah. You're going to like them too. Because number 6 has to do with how radio frequency plays both sides, just like evil does. And then number 7, I break it down about how radio frequency has a mirroring effect. That was really intriguing when God revealed that to me. I was like, oh. So because of how narcissist and radio frequency are very similar. Yeah, I'm just more dot connection between radio frequency and these narcissists. And it doesn't surprise me, though. I'm like, okay. See, when you learn about narcissism, and then you realize that our autonomic nervous system, that is what gets traumatized. Because that's your threat detector. And when you can sense your autonomic nervous system responding, right, with a fear response, typically the tightening of the butt, right? Exactly. So it's like, okay, that's a fear response. And it does it by itself. But that also hinders proper circulation. You see? The enemy knows that. And so all that radio frequency, the highs and the lows, constantly manipulating the autonomic nervous system like that, keeps it in a tense-like state to prevent proper circulation. Because proper circulation promotes proper nutrition. Yeah, our nutrition gets delivered to the areas of the body that needs it through proper circulation. And you want to be relaxed. Yeah, you don't want to have no tense muscle. Yeah. Even though the enemy wants to see that, it don't matter. So we learn to start doing. And then we also learned that's right. If you are feeling tense or stiff up in here, y'all, even if you ain't got no bruising, I highly recommend diaper rash ointment. Rub it in there. And then within the hour, you will feel it. Tried and true. You will feel it. I know it sounds silly, but that zinc oxide, because when your body's tense like that all the time, it undergoes what's called oxidative stress. Again, my master's in forensic toxicology talking. Because I had to learn through that program how our body functions metabolically, okay, through digesting those toxic substances. I had to learn how the body operates with those things, because a lot of those toxic substances cause the body to undergo oxidative stress. If you don't listen on the cellular level, right? The cellular oxidative stress, that's how deep it goes. But the oxidative stress prevents oxygen from getting to the places that need it the most. And that's all part of the radio frequency traumatization, part of the game of narcissism on the world stage. And so the rules that communities have, apartment complexes, and the rules that they have are highly narcissistic. Absolutely, highly narcissistic. Because they don't have no, right. Remember what's inside the matrix. Obey. Consume. Don't ask questions. Do as you're told. Right? Now we know why. Because the people that install smoke detectors, air conditioners, things like that, they're just doing what they're being told. They don't know nothing else. No. They don't know that those things are programmed to throw temper tantrums. They don't know that as part of radio frequency poisoning, abuse on the societal level. They don't know that. Right? High frequency, low frequency. I'm sleeping. Yeah, y'all, this is not coming just from basic scientific facts and God's wisdom, but also experience. Because, right, how God revealed it to me, I was laying there one morning, and that thing decided to go off before throwing a temper tantrum. just one. And I felt the tug. I went, aha. So from then on, it's been a case study here. And God revealing all the way down to the dusty salt residue on top of the marble counter because there's little gold flakes in there. That's metal. So every time the dishwasher gets run, it loose because it gets warm. Never forget this, you all. On the external. Well, think about on the internal. We're now at the and more part. Stay with it. Remember, with all that excessive salt from the radio frequency and things like that, and food we were consuming, our body's heat on the inside, right? Because the heat was expanding those molecules, right? But they couldn't, right? They can't evaporate because there's a mucus pocket glued to it. It can't evaporate. That's how the enemy traps those things in there. But eventually, they're going to work their way into circulation and get out. They have to. They don't belong in there. But on the external, because they're the little gold flakes, the metals, when that dishwasher gets running, it gets hot, right? It's a very high heat, by the way. Yeah, and the vibration from the dishwasher, it looses some of those salts from the gold flakes. And so even after I've taken a Clorox wipe and I've wiped that sucker down, right? And it should be squeaky clean. Once it's dry and I rub my hand over it, I'm like, that's greasy salt. It's all around her. And I was like, okay. Because over time, what they would do is they would, right, because that'd be a magnet. They're attracted to each other. So if it got, right, enough frequency going, they're gonna, yep. And if the ANS is remembering something, the very last known memory of what you saw, you walk over because you're radiating. Now you come along and you activate that sucker, and it takes on the form of the very last thing that the autonomic nervous system remembers seeing and perceiving as a threat. I know, it takes a while for that to sink in, and more all about that on the Patreon channel. That's right. And the Patreon channel link is always listed below. And that's another membership site for you all. Anyone who wants to further support this ministry and the work. Because this research is ongoing. And I'm going to bring all of it to you all. The more that God reveals about the enemy's devices with radio frequency and how it has affected our whole life. Yep. And so now, as we get the heightened, we can combat it to live healthier lives. And I tell you, the first time I got on that blood type diet, yes, we can. Like we did it once, God said, oh yeah, you can do it again and then some. Yeah. God gives us a little hint sometimes. And that's between us and God. Listen, whenever God gives you a little glimpse or a hint as to, like, yeah, once we get back to what, and then beyond, when he gives you that beyond, you better keep that between the two of you. Okay? Because that's just, yeah, that's yours and God's little secret. That kind of cute. Yeah, I like those. So did God. God's like, I know. He said, but we're going to get, so just. He's like, bear with me. Yeah. Because here's another thing that God does, y'all. See, I know because I paid attention in undergrad to those programs and students who were getting their degree in physical therapy. So I know by watching others who have undergone physical therapy, what physical therapy I'll need. And walking really is the best one. But I said, I know that I need something that's gonna, right. Exactly. So I was like, okay. And so I remember when I was with Beachbody, one of the programs was a stepping program. And so I remembered exactly. But then I go to the store and I see the like mini elliptical. And I'm like, God said, honey child. And then I come here and I'm looking on Amazon and he said, no. He said, what do you have that is included in your rent? That's right. I've got access to an actual elliptical. He said, that's later. And I want you to start with the basics. Never forget that, okay? Because, right, one of the stepping blocks. So for whoever needs that tip, all right, for strengthening and toning, right? Yep. Because it's going to happen. It's all part of the thing. So it's like, we know if we're paying attention. Not only that, y'all, you can look it up online. Any of you who may be feeling as though you need to take on a little bit of physical therapy, there's a lot of things you can do yourself right there in the home. I'll share a tip with you all that before I knew all of this about radio frequency and stuff, I had to go and get a shot in the shoulders. And so they gave me stretching bar, the resistant band. You can get a pack of those resistant band for little to nothing these days. And so, right, because I was only doing one at a time, God's bringing this back to my remembrance for a reason. Okay, because I still have a couple of those bands. He's bringing this to my remembrance and to you all for whoever may need it. What I did is it was one that was like a string. It was not a round one. Okay, it was one that they gave me. It was just one long. Okay, where I could have put my foot on one end and done this, but because of the drawing that they gave me the different therapeutic moves that would be best to make, right? And one of them happened to be just at the mid level, doing this. So I tied one end to my closet door on the inside. Bear with me, because on the outside it can come off because it's rubber. All right, I don't care how tight you try to tie it on the front. Okay, you got to do it on the back side, on the doorknob that's on the right. Okay, tie it nice and tight there, and then bring it around, not on where the door's got to connect to shut, because you're going to want to shut it and make sure it doesn't, right, because the crack through the door was wide enough for that thin resistance band or strap, whatever you want to call it. And so I got it in position, that door, and I was able to do my physical therapy right there in the bedroom. So, same thing. And I remember them. Thank you, Heavenly Father. So, see, that's how He gets us ready. But this time, I don't have a closet door to tie on, but I do have the circle one that exactly do, because I'm not because we're not undergoing what we had to go through for that first round like that. But now we can, okay. Yeah, it's like, because as the bruises come on out, if you will, they start healing. Oh gosh, y'all, we have come a long way. I'm gonna let you know that. Okay, so thank you for your understanding and things like that. If I'm not as active on some of the social sites here and there, because we are we're on this journey together. And then those of you on this detox journey with us, it is one day at a time. Absolutely. There you go. I like that. It's like full relaxation and stress relief allows circulation to flow properly and allows the spirit to expand and enhance the nervous system awareness. That is spot on. And it's also why the enemy wants to keep people all tensed up and sleeping. Y'all know that movie called They Live, right? Come on now. For those of you, that's a 1988 film. And so it's like the Matrix telling us that what it's all about. And when the guy look at it, the one dude sees the skeleton. Hello? When the Jezebel sibling came around, I could see the skeleton on them. And then the male Jezebel one evening was standing underneath the LED light at the sink, but it wasn't the LED light that did that. It was during the fear mongering at the very beginning. Okay? And all I did was of finishing something. I forget what it was. It was really minor. And he blurted out, "How come you never take any of the advice that I give you?" Something like that. I was like, whoa. When he lashed out like that, I saw it. Boom, skeleton. And I went, oh, I've seen that before. On the ex-psycho roommate. Yep. When he lashed out, it was like a flash of light. And all I saw was the skeleton, just like what you see in the movie. It didn't look like that skeleton in the movie, but I saw the hollow eye, and it was, come on, y'all. When you see that stuff, you don't unsee it. And so when the sibling of the Jezebel passing away came around, I could see that a skeleton on them, their face, because they're spiritually dead. That's why. So, Chris, go right ahead. If you've got some improved circulation tips on, if you got those, go ahead, put them in the Academy's community forum. Yes, please do, because I could probably benefit also. We are iron sharpening iron in the growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. So yes, by all means, some good circulation tips. I mean, clean, I'm sure. Okay, but good circulation tips. Absolutely. That's all part of the detox. And then beyond too, because we're still exposed to the radio frequency. So we're going to know whenever our circulation gets a little off here and there. Oh yeah, that's all that awareness. That heightened awareness about, whoa, okay, what's going on with this body? Yep. So please do. Smother it with something soundproof. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'm just babysitting it. Yep, I'm babysitting it. That's it. Yep. Yes, the John Carpenter movie, They Live. Dude who finds the sunglasses that allows him to see the skeleton-looking type. And then also the hidden messages. Obey, consume. Don't ask questions. Stay asleep. Oh, yeah. You're welcome. That's all right. That's all right. If you've run out of funnies for the community for a time or two, fine. Yeah, we ain't trying to. Yeah, it does not have to be Because the funnies that you've got up there is plenty to keep us occupied. If we need a good laugh, we can always go back and review those again. See, because once we put something up there, unless it's no longer relevant, it's going to stay there for y'all to learn from and to grow from. Yeah, it's all about picking up that cross and following Jesus and staying on that narrow path and not follow the crowd in that matrix, the wide path to destruction. So, yep, those messages, and those are the things that we learn. That's what the matrix is all about. That's the motto of the matrix, right? Obey. Don't ask questions. And that's exactly what the sleepers do. The narcissist. Okay? Yeah, that's exactly what they do. Because the other part of that motto is, that's right, keep them entertained, keep them fed, clothed, housed, employed. They won't ask no questions. They won't ask no questions about life. They're just going to obey. And I'm going to tell y'all something. That's when I came out with, oh, yeah, that last toxic workplace, it was really obvious that whatever the matrix told this family and other employees to do, they did. And that's where I came up with that phrase, where I said, my gosh, I said, if the fake news media would tell them to go and drag their bare butt across the sand, they would do it. That's how obedient to the world they are. Whereas chosen ones were like, we learn to do the opposite of what the matrix says. Yeah. Do the opposite. Discernment. But we do the opposite of what the matrix tells us to do. Right? The matrix wants you to wear something. Don't wear it. The matrix wants you to go and get something. Don't get it. All right? The matrix wants you to, buy a particular food, but it's junk food. Don't buy it. Go get some carrots instead. That's what we're doing. The opposite. We're doing what God instructs us to do. That's what being obedient to God is all about. That Godhead on the inside of us. That's what it's all about. Okay, everybody? So it is what it is. Right. That wide path to destruction that everyone seems to love so much. Because they don't know that's what they're on. They don't know that they're on a wide path to destruction. They're clueless. They're crept and unaware. Except for the chosen few. That's right. We got this, chosen one. Come on. Start to see past all of that. And you start to get God's spiritual truth. That's what we hunger for. It's God's spiritual truth. And so that's what you're going to get here at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, this ministry and the work. So again, for those who join us on this journey in the growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, learn to be flexible with God, okay? Because He's flexible with us. And so we're going to work whatever shift He has us working so we don't become too predictable for the enemy. All right? And that's that. Yeah, they think they're having fun and a good old time with the carnal. Yet being carnally minded is death. And they think they're having fun. Like we did once too. Now, let me tell you, we had our heydays, many of us, And so I thought at the time we were living it up. No, we don't start living it up until we get into God's reality. That's when you start to live, because spiritually minded, peace and life. This when life just begins, when we enter that spiritual awakening, and God starts to reveal all that's been hiding in plain sight our entire lives. It takes a while for that to sink in too, because that's what I've been thinking over the last few days. Like, wow, with all this frequency poisoning, and then the salts in the air, and it's always been that way. I'm like, whoa. Now I can't say always, but I'm talking about when we were introduced to the world. It's always been like that. Takes a while, but that's why I said stay with us, because the more God revealed to me about that RF and how it affects society and our body, I'm going to bring it to y'all. Because again, God did not have me get that master's in forensic toxicology for no reason. See, God has a reason for us getting what we get. God has us getting certificates that we get. God has us getting training that we need. God has us getting things in preparation for, right? He had me get that master's in preparation for a time as such, because he knew I was going to remember the ex-psycho roommate and his whole setup, and knowing that, he was rigging up an electrocution station inside the house. And I was like, okay, I see what he's doing. And then I had to think about it. Hold up a second. We learned the red flags of narcissism on the individual level, right? Now we start connecting dots to the societal level. And that's what's happening now. Once God revealed to me how radio frequency is used to traumatize the autonomic nervous system, the ANS, it's been full-on research and observation and paying real close attention to how mind responds to things. And mind-blowing. Because once we get this awareness, that radio frequency poisoning out there is not going to have any more negative effects on us. As long as we continue to eat healthier, stay active, stay aware. Continue to get that awareness. And learn that we don't have to rush nothing, but we just got to keep on going forward. And that's what we're doing. Right, back in the day when we were young and foolish. Oh, yeah. But, and I'm going to get back to you, Chris, on the interview question. I'll get back to you on that. But I want to remind you of something. We go focused on the here going forward, right? We're not looking back. We might mention some things that we remember from a previous season that God needs us to take going with us. I want everybody to understand that. Okay? Because it's all part of changing that thinking. We have to do that. We've got to change that thinking. Because what the world tried to teach us about us and about the world, we find out in God's reality that it's a make-believe world out there. Right? So once that sinks in, and that we realize that a lot of these things out here are just illusions, Project Bluebeam, that's right. We don't fall for them. We don't fall for them anymore. Yeah, I saw one this morning, Project Bluebeam. I went to a Walmart. I saw the plane. No sound. Low and very, very slow. No sound. Because, right, and that was coming out. When I was going into the store, there was a real plane about the same level. But, going a little bit faster, and I could hear the engine. I could hear it. Then come out of the store and another one in a similar spot, but a different type of plane. No sound. Anyhow, fake plane. But the sleepers don't know that because they would stop and think about there not being any sound. Because if it's that low, we should be able to hear something. A little bit of a rumble. All right, everyone. So that wraps this episode up for today. Right. Looking back, living in the past, that is a trick of the enemy. I know it takes a while because we are going to go through that self-reflection and we are going to, because we have to do that inner work. But we want to. I could tell that was a forced and fake cough. That was somebody trying to get some attention. All right, everybody. See, we pick up on this stuff. Spiritual ears. Got to keep them open. All right. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency for healthier living. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.